Hello, welcome to the 190 Literary and Jury Charge. I'm going to start off with a selection from the book Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and this is on Develop Your Compassion. Okay, ready? Nothing helps us build our perspective more than developing compassion for others. Compassion is a sympathetic feeling. It involves the willingness to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to take the focus off of yourself, and to imagine what it's like to be in someone else's predicament, and simultaneously to feel love for that person. It is the recognition that other people's problems, their pain and frustrations are every bit as real as our own, often far worse. In recognizing this fact and trying to offer some assistance, we open our hearts and greatly enhance our sense of gratitude. Compassion is something you can develop with practice. It involves two things: intention and action. Intention simply means you remember to open your heart to others. You expand what and who matters from yourself to other people. Action is simply the what you do about it. You might donate a little money or time or both on a regular basis to a cause near to your heart. Or perhaps you'll offer a beautiful smile and genuine hello to the people you meet on the street. It's not so important what you do, just that you do something. As Mother Teresa reminds us, we cannot do great things on this earth. We can only do small things with great love. Compassion develops your sense of gratitude by taking your attention off all the little things that most of us have learned to take too seriously. When you take time often to reflect on the miracle of life, the miracle that you are even able to read this book, the gift of sight, of love, and all the rest, it can help to remind you that many of the things that you think of as being stuff are really just small stuff that you are turning into big stuff. Okay. Have some jury charge for you. This is on punitive damages. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you find that the plaintiff was unlawfully evicted and obliged to leave the premises without notice by reason of the wrongful acts of the defendant, then you may consider whether or not, under all the circumstances, the plaintiff is entitled to recover what are known as punitive damages. Such damages are by way of punishment, that is, to punish the wrongdoer for his wrongful and unlawful acts, and deter him from committing like offenses in the future. You may take all the facts and circumstances into consideration, and then award such an amount for punitive damages as you feel would be fair and just under the circumstances. Punitive damages are allowed only when one does an act wrongfully and maliciously, in the contemplation of the law, where one interferes with the rights of another knowingly and purposely. If at the time he knows it is wrong and unlawful, then it is malicious. Punitive damages should not be excessive and should be reasonable. They should be fitted to all the facts and circumstances in the case. It rests entirely with you whether or not you should award any such damages. If you do, they should be fair and reasonable. The jury are the sole judges of the facts in the case, the credibility of the witnesses, and the weight to be given to their testimony. In anything that the court may have said throughout the trial, or anything that the court may say in the instructions, the court has not intended and does not now intend to express any opinion upon the facts of the case, upon the credibility of the witnesses, or the weight to be given to their testimony. Furthermore, the court instructs the jury that you have a right to consider all of the evidence in the light of your own observation and experience in the affairs of life. Okay, I have an article here. This is called 10 People in One. Okay, ready? Several years ago, a young man named Billy Milligan was arrested. He was charged with attacking and robbing a number of people. When lawyers told him what he had done, Billy seemed surprised. As he answered questions, his voice seemed to change. First, he spoke with a British accent. Then he switched to a strong voice with a Slavic accent. Finally, Billy began to scream and cry like a child. At this point, a psychologist was called in. The first words the psychologist said were, "Good morning, Billy." The young man answered, "Billy is asleep. I am David." Was the prisoner, Billy Milligan, faking? Not according to the psychologist or judge. The judge found Milligan not guilty. Billy was judged to be insane. He was sent to a hospital for medical treatment. Who is the real Billy? According to the psychologist, Billy is a sick young man. He has a mental disease known as multiple personalities. This means that a number of different personalities exist inside Billy. Some of these personalities are friendly and peaceful. Others are not. Billy's original personality, the one he first developed in childhood, is known as his waking self. This personality is in control of Billy most of the time, but sometimes the waking self blacks out. Then, one of Billy's other personalities takes over his mind and body. This personality may remain a moment, an hour, or for several days. When Billy is waking, or Billy's waking self returns, he usually can't remember what happened during the blackout. Billy was treated by Dr. Cornelia Wilbur. Dr. Wilbur is an expert on multiple personality problems. One of her most famous cases was a young woman named Sybil. Sybil had 16 personalities. The story of her treatment resulted in a best-selling book and a TV movie. Dr. Wilbur's first job with Billy was to identify all his personalities. During many talks with Billy, Dr. Wilbur uncovered 10 personalities. 8 were males and 2 were females. They ranged in age from a shy 3-year-old girl named Christine to a self-confident 22-year-old man named Arthur. One of the personalities, Aldina, was very violent. She was probably responsible for Billy's crimes. What causes multiple personalities to develop? In Billy's case, it was a very unhappy childhood. Billy was a bright, sensitive boy. His father killed himself when Billy was only 3 years old. His stepfather treated him badly. He also abused him. To ease his bad feelings, Billy developed other personalities. In the U.S., there may be more than 5,000 cases of multiple personalities. Many of these cases are never even recognized. Okay, I'm going to continue to read from Awaken the Giant Within. Okay, ready? Finally, I reached Irvine. Looking below, I was a little disturbed when I saw that the off-ramp to my seminar was jammed with bumper-to-bumper traffic for more than a mile. I thought to myself, oh no, I hope whatever else is going on tonight gets started soon so that the people coming to my seminar can arrive on time. But as I descended to the helipad, I began to see a new picture. Thousands of people being held back by security where I was just about to land. Suddenly, I began to grasp the reality. The traffic jam had been caused by people going to my own event. Although we had expected approximately 2,000 attendees, I was facing a crowd of 7,000 in an auditorium that would only hold 5,000 people. When I walked into the arena from the landing pad, I was surrounded by hundreds of people who wanted to give me a hug or tell me how my work had positively impacted their lives. The stories they shared with me were incredible. One mother introduced me to her son who had been labeled hyperactive and learning disabled. Utilizing the principles of state management taught in this book, she was not only able to get him off the drug Ritalin, but they had also since been transferred to California, where her son had been retested and evaluated at the level of a genius. You should have seen his face as she shared with me his new label. A gentleman talked about how he had freed himself from a gentleman talked about how he had freed himself from cocaine from using the success conditioning techniques that you will also learn in this book. A couple in their mid-50s shared with me that after 15 years of marriage, they had been on the brink of divorce until they learned about personal rules. A salesman told me how his monthly income had jumped from $2,000 to over $12,000 in a mere 6 months, and an entrepreneur related that he had increased corporate revenues by over $3 million in 18 months by applying the principles of quality questions and emotional management. A lovely young woman showed me a picture of her former self having lost 52 pounds by applying the principles of leverage that are detailed in this book. I was touched so deeply by the emotions in that room that I got choked up, and at first I couldn't speak. As I looked out to my audience and saw 5,000 smiling, cheering, loving faces, in that moment I realized that I am living my dream. What a feeling to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I had the information, strategies, philosophies, and skills that could assist any one of these people in empowering themselves to make the changes they desired most. A flood of images and emotions flowed over me. I began to remember an experience I'd had only a few years before, sitting in my 400 square foot bachelor apartment in Venice, California, all alone and crying as I listened to the lyrics of a Neil Diamond song. I am, I said, to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even the chair. I am, I cried. I am, said I. And I am lost, and I can't even say why, leaving me lonely still. I remembered feeling like my life didn't matter, as if the events of the world were controlling me. I also remember the moment my life changed, the moment I finally said, I've had it. I know I'm much more than I'm demonstrating mentally, emotionally, and physically in my life. I made a decision in that moment, which was to alter my life forever. I decided to change virtually every aspect of my life. I decided I would never again settle for less than I could be. Who would have guessed that this decision would bring me to so much an incredible moment? I gave my all at the seminar that night, and when I left the auditorium, crowds of people followed me to the helicopter to send me off. To say I was deeply moved by the experience would be an understatement. A tear slid down my cheek as I thanked my Creator for these wonderful gifts. As I lifted off the grass and ascended into the moonlight, I had to pinch myself. Could this be real? Am I the same guy who 8 years ago was struggling, frustrated, feeling alone, and incapable of making my life work, fat, broke, and wondering if I could even survive? How could a young kid like me with nothing but a high school education have created such dramatic changes? My answer is simple. I learned to harness the principle I now call concentration of power. Most people have no idea of the giant capacity we can immediately command when we focus all of our resources on mastering a single area of our lives. Controlled focus is like a laser beam that can cut through anything that seems to be stopping you. When we focus consistently on improvement in any area, we develop unique distinctions on how to make that area better. One reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. In fact, I believe most people fail in life simply because they major in minor things. I believe that one of life's major lessons is learning to understand what makes us do what we do, what shapes human behavior. The answers to this question provide critical keys to shaping your own destiny. My entire life has been continually driven by a singular, compelling focus. What makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? How is it that so often people from such humble beginnings and devastating backgrounds manage, in spite of all of it, to create lives that inspire us? Conversely, why do so many of those born into privileged environments with every resource for success at their fingertips end up fat, frustrated, and chemically addicted? What makes some people's lives an example and others a warning? What is the secret that creates passion, happy, and grateful lives in many people, why others often refrain? Is that all there is? My own magnificent obsession began with some simple questions. How can I take immediate control of my life? What can I do today that can make a difference, that could help me and others to shape our destinies? How can I expand, learn, grow, and share that knowledge with others in a meaningful and enjoyable way? At a very early age, I developed a belief that we are all here to contribute something unique, that deep within each of us lies a special gift. You see, I truly believe we all have a sleeping giant within us. Each of us has a talent, a gift, our own bit of genius, just waiting to be tapped. It might be a talent for art or music or sports. It might be a special way of relating to the ones you love. It might be a genius for selling or innovating or reaching out in your business or your career. I choose to believe that our Creator doesn't play favorites, that we've all been created unique, but with equal opportunities for experiencing life to the fullest. I decided many years ago that the most important way I could spend my life would be to invest it in something that would outlast it. I decided that somehow I must contribute in some way that would live on long after I was gone. Today I have the incredible privilege of sharing my ideas and feelings with literally millions of people through my books and television shows. I personally worked with over 250,000 people in the last few years alone. I've assisted members of Congress, CEOs, presidents and companies and countries, managers and mothers, salespeople, accountants, lawyers, doctors, psychiatrists, counselors, and professional athletes. I've worked with phobics, the clinically depressed, people with multiple personalities, and those who thought they had no personality. Now I have the unique good fortune of sharing the best of what I've learned with you, and for that opportunity I am truly grateful and excited. Throughout it all, I have continued to recognize the power that individuals have to change virtually anything and everything in their lives in an instant. I've learned that the resources we need to turn our dreams into reality are within us, merely waiting for the day when we decide to wake up and claim our birthright. I wrote this book for one reason, to be a wake-up call that will challenge those who are committed to living and being more to tap their God-given power. There are ideas and strategies in this book to help you produce specific, measurable, long-lasting changes in yourself and others. You see, I believe I know who you really are. I believe you and I must be kindred souls. Your desire to expand has brought you to this book. It is the invisible hand that guided you. I know that no matter where you are in your life, you want more. No matter how well you are already doing or how challenged you may be, deep inside of you there lies a belief that your experience of life can and will be much greater than it already is. You are destined for your own unique form of greatness, whether it is as an outstanding professional, teacher, business person, mother, or father. Okay, I will stop there. We have a few more minutes, and I will finish us out with closing arguments. Okay. But Orlando Hunt swore to you that he did not know that he or she used crack cocaine. Ladies and gentlemen, he lied right in front of you. Orlando Hunt was also the guy who said that he did not talk to Gina Lee, and he said that he was the guy that had no control over Gina Lee. Remember that? He had no control over Gina Lee. Oh, I do, because of the child, just because regarding that child, but not in any other way. I have no control over her. He swore to you also. He swore to you that he did not discuss his control over Gina Lee with Mr. Davis and Mr. Buchanan. Remember, he swore that to you, but you heard it on tape. You heard it on the tape. Mr. Davis, do you have any control over Gina now? Does she listen to you? His answer, yes. Question, because she's being real hard ass with me? Answer, oh yes. Well, she does listen. Question, now listen to this. Can you give her the word? Answer, uh-huh. Question, you could do it? Answer, I'm going to let her know. Question, okay, you let her know. Let her know and tell her you can get in touch with her. I want to interview her. And he said yes. And then the question, can you get word to her somehow? And he said yes. And question, I don't want to mess with her if she cooperates with me. If she doesn't cooperate with me, I'll just grab her down there and she can lie. She hasn't been cooperative so far. And he said, I will, yes, I will talk to her. And the question, I need to interview Gina Lee to have her come clean and say, yes, I was lying on the prelim. And because I was scared and I was trying to support and whatever her trip was. And he said yes. So for Hunt to come in here and say he said no control, he had no control over her, that was never discussed, is a pure lie. And what do you think that word meant? Word. Give her the word. Okay, that concludes our literary and jury charge for the 190 class.